Welcome to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison.
I'm Molly, a former skeptic turned full-time energy healer and teacher.
And I'm Madison, a born and raised witch running my family's crystal shop.
And we're here to explore all things woo through the lens of both science and spirituality so that you can find the moments of magic in your everyday life and create an intentional spiritual practice.
So if that's what you're into, find a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's demystify some magic.
Howdy doody doody doo.
Howdy doody, friends. We're back.
We're back.
We are so back.
Thanks for covering for me last week. This was the second time this year I have come back from Florida with the flu. So I'm now calling it Florida.
This is also, let's just set the record straight. Those are also the only times you've been on a plane this year.
No. I have been on a plane 4 times this year.
Where else did you go?
Florida. Every other time I go to Florida.
I'm just saying that every time you've been on a plane, famously the dirtiest place on earth. We have 2 things in Florida, the happiest place on earth and the dirtiest place on earth. Disney World and the airport.
So if I sound a little stuffy, it's because I am. It's because I am. But we're feeling good. We're feeling good. And today we're going to do a highly requested back to school guide, your witch's guide to going back to school, whether you are a kiddo going to the old school, whether you're a parent getting your kids ready for the old school, or maybe you're going to college. We got some witchy tips for you.
Can I just say this episode made me feel very old. Planning for this episode, the amount of thinking back I had to do, I was like, oh shit. In my head, I am still 22. I'm like, yeah. Me, a humble college kid. How do I go back to school? And I'm like, oh, you haven't done that in 6 years.
See, the best part was I was like a full-blown skeptic the entire time I was in school. So I had to think back and be like, well, these aren't things I did. But what would I do now?
If I could do it over again.
If I could do it over. But before we dive in, Madison, what was your magic moment of the week?
I have to preface this magic moment with the magic moment is not that I could not see you while you were in Florida, okay? So we're just going to set that aside, right?
Yeah, rude. No wonder I got the flu.
Yeah, it was you actually were having withdrawals, an allergic reaction to not being around me. So I'm like, Florida who? Just a preface there. But I had such like a magical moment of like synchronicity. I have like an OG long distance best friend. My bestie Jeff, who we met in middle school and have just been really close ever since. And I feel like long distance friendships really do hit different when they were not forged in long distance, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm used to only ever being on the phone with you because that's just like our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
He moved to Denver 4 years ago. And we went to high school together. We went to college together, like lived down the hall from each other in college. And so it was an adjustment. But I've been very fortunate that for 3 of those 4 years that he's been gone, I've gotten to go to the Denver Gem Show. And it just so perfectly lined up that his sister just had a baby. So thank you, Kelly, for timing your birth just right so that I could have this. But he came down for Labor Day weekend with his fiance because he also just got engaged. It was like so much fun and excitement. He came down for Labor Day weekend. I got to see him all through the weekend. And then he left, and 2 days later, I went to his house to stay with him for the Denver Gem Show. So I had like, I think a whole week of hanging out with him and his fiance and helping watch his cat because they had to go to town for a couple of days while I was there. And I was really worried. Like, I thought for a second that we were also going to be 2 ships in the night and that he was going to be down visiting his family and I was going to be up in Denver. And it just lined up so perfectly. It was so, so good. And like just the most heartwarming, heart-filling sensation where I feel like my cup was filleth to the nth degree of like getting to meet the baby and getting to hang out with his family, which is also like my family, and getting to see them and seeing everybody together, and then going up. And he took a day off work to go gem shopping with us, which he's done every year.
Cute.
And like, so getting to share that with him, it was just the best. It was the best.
So fun. I love that.
So fun. The best little magic moment. What was your magic moment this week?
Okay, I have the silliest magic moment.
It hit me.
But it really was life-changing.
That's the best kind.
I know. So, as you know, I've been a big reader this year. I've been reading a lot, many, many books each month. I've also been getting many more headaches and eye pain than I've ever experienced. And so I thought, gee, maybe I need to go get my eyes checked. Perhaps I need glasses. So I schedule an eye doctor's appointment. It's been like 5 years. But I've had 20/20 vision, 20/20, 20/15 vision since youth. The night before my eye doctor appointment, my husband, who notoriously wears glasses, says to me, he informs me that when they mean eye exam, they don't mean you're supposed to try and ace it. Meaning, when they say, what's the smallest text you can read, I always go for the lowest line and I deduce what the letters are based on the curvature of the letters above them.
We're taking it as a challenge.
Tell me you're an overachieving, gifted, and talented kid with ADHD without telling me. Apparently what they mean is, what's the smallest line you can read without straining or using logic? And so I informed my eye doctor of this, that I'm pretty sure I've been doing eye exams wrong my entire life. I thought, I have perfect vision. Why do I feel like I need glasses? And so he puts the thing over my face and he tests me. And I was like, oh, this is so fucking easy. Why is this so I can read the smallest line. It's so easy. I must be gaslighting myself into thinking I have glasses. And so he goes, okay, so this is really easy for you to see, right? I'm like, yeah, what the hell? He's like, this is your sight with glasses. And then he switches it. He's like, this is Molly vision. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even read the top line. So anyways, I got reading glasses, and now it's surprisingly so much more enjoyable to read when your eyes don't hurt.
You know what's so funny? I had a reading with a listener the other day, and I used that as an example.
Okay, this is apparently a universal experience because I talked about it on my Instagram story, and the amount of people who slid into my DMs and were like, is this why my prescription always feels wrong?
Yeah, I have had this a similar experience as a kid. Because it is that, like you say, exam. We were talking about this where you were like, we should call it something else. And I was like, yes, an eye inspection.
Yes. If you say exam, I am going to try to overachieve my ass. I need to get an A++.
I need to win.
And let me tell you, it was a challenge. Even in the moment, there were a couple of times where I was squinting and my doctor was like, stop squinting. And I was like, sorry.
Yep.
Anyways, she has glasses now for reading, and she's proud of it. So if this resonated with you, please let us know. Please let us know if you get a different prescription next time you go to the eye doctor, because this is apparently a universal experience for listeners of this podcast.
Yeah, if you too have been victimized by the word exam. All right, let's get started. We've kind of segmented this episode into the 3 core back to school vibes. Right? Younger kids, parents sending their kids to school, and college kids.
Yeah.
So I guess technically the younger kid section is also for parents, but we had to create some structure, but whatever. So
you can use them they're not specific to age demographics either. So if you find an idea in the parent section and you're not a parent, just grab it, use it. We just wanted to.
We're not parents and we wrote it.
Yeah. Retweet.
And you know what? If you're an 8-year-old listening to this podcast,
what the fuck is up?
I want to hear from you. What the fuck is up? I want to talk to your parents because they seem pretty cool.
All right, let's start with the younger. So grade school. We'll call it grade school.
So I love the idea. I did this in school. I still carry a backpack because I carry 17 bags everywhere I go. I carry my backpack.
Can confirm.
I carry a big purse with a smaller purse in it. You just never know where you're going to end up throughout the day. Sometimes you're headed to a little purse function. Sometimes you're headed to a big purse function. I don't know. My mom does it too. I got it from her. But I keep a little, like just a little organza bag with different stones in each of those little bags. Mm-hmm. One of my bags actually had, this is an aside, but one of my one of my bigger bags has like a tied to it, like a smaller little, it's like a coin purse. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why is this so heavy? It's like maybe 2 by 3 inches. Full of rocks, like jam packed full of rocks. And I was like, oh, I've been looking for these. But we put together a little crystal kit for each of these like segments of back to schoolers. And for the grade school kids, we thought focus would be a really great area to focus on. Get it? So if you are looking for a focus themed crystal kit, for your kid, for yourself, for your friend, for your dog, I don't know, we recommend a little fluorite amethyst clear quartz moment.
I'm also going to throw sodalite in there.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Mm-hmm. Fluorite is like my ride or die focus stone. It's always in my office. I have like, it's one of those things that I'm constantly collecting little pieces of because they're very pretty.
They're so pretty.
And because I can always find a spot for it. Mm-hmm. There's always an area where I feel like I need more focus. And so I'm like, I'll just stick a little fluorite in there.
I love fluorite. It's like definitely in my top 12 favorite crystals.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to make another joke like your top 7 chakras.
It's in my top 3,724.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely in there in that list somewhere.
And speaking of crystals, one of the things that I actually did do in school, not necessarily in crystals, but I would get a worry stone and use it like a fidget. Back in my day, fidgets were not like socially acceptable in classrooms, but now they very much are. Everyone has a fidget. I did a presentation about meditation in a school a couple months ago, and they had a basket of fidgets, and when everyone came in, they just grabbed a fidget. And I was like, A, who's sanitizing these? But B, that's very cool.
It also wasn't really a thing when I was in school either.
Did you have cell phones when you were in school?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Oh, my God. This is our generational gap.
My fidget in
was your
class
cell phone?
Was Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Did my teachers know that was my fidget? Absolutely not. I'm sure they did, and they just were like, whatever, like this girl's beyond help. But I fully played Candy Crush in class constantly. Sorry, Mom. But it really did help me listen.
Oh, my God.
When I was like in high school, it was first starting to become like okay in like public knowledge that like doodling in class helped you focus.
Oh, yeah, no.
So I feel like I was like right on the precipice.
Yeah, no, I was just in you have to sit still and stare at the board and listen. And I was just totally zonked out. I was just thinking about literally anything else. Mm-hmm. Did very well in school, mostly, but struggled. Anyway, you can use a worry stone for a fidget. Get one of those crystals that have the little divot in them. Rub your little thumb along it. Great option.
The biggest thing I've been surprised by in the store is how much kids love rocks. And I do think the tactile nature of them is part of it. Like, kids come into the store and they love a fucking tumble.
I love a tumble.
And they just play with it in their little hands. And it's the original fidget.
It's the original fidget. So get your kiddo a stone that they can play with. Bonus if it's one of those stones for focus.
Mm-hmm. Something else you can do, and this kind of is like a good blanket tip, is put sigils on the bottom of your kids' shoes. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do it in any kind of marker.
Clear nail polish.
You could just draw it with your finger.
Mm-hmm.
A white Sharpie.
A sanitizing wipe.
A sanitizing wipe. Sure. I don't know why one sanitizes the bottom of shoes.
My OCD diagnosis is becoming really apparent in this episode.
Who's bleaching the fidget toys?
Okay, but honestly, schools are gross.
Schools are gross.
They smell like germs.
Mm-hmm. But this is something that you can do for yourself or for your young kids if you see that your kid is struggling with communication or is struggling with standing up for themselves or is struggling with focus, is struggling with math. Mm-hmm. You can make a sigil for math.
Yeah. I was the kid who wore the Converse shoes because I was a little punk rock kid, or I wanted to be. And I don't know if you did this in your generation, but we used to color on them with Sharpies.
Yeah.
Yeah. You draw a little sigil on there with your band lyrics and stuff.
Did you have the Converse that went up to your knees?
No. I was a low Converse girly.
But like, did they exist?
No.
Oh. I had those motherfuckers.
I had the red and the black low Converse, and I used to wear them mismatched.
Wow. It's giving.
Okay. We need to share an anecdote from high school. I feel like we need to share an anecdote about ourselves so that people can really place who we were in this time. So I saw Panic at the Disco in concert when I was 14.
I'm so jealous. I was too young.
If you're familiar with 2006 Panic at the Disco, okay, we're talking like the Ryan Ross era. Ryan Ross, who wrote a lot of the lyrics for the first album of theirs, he used to be very theatrical in his makeup. Like, I'm talking like full-blown scenery on his face.
I fear I know where this is going.
This was also the era of like when Lady Gaga was like drawing lightning bolts on her face in makeup. This was also the era where Molly Donlin was drawing on her face with makeup. And I used to do full out like scenery. Like, I don't know. I have no photos of this time, so please don't ask me for photos. I wish I did. But it was so elaborate that for Mismatch Day of School Spirit Week, the senior class dressed like Molly Donlin.
How early were you waking up in the morning?
Not early enough. It did not look good. I didn't sleep well in high school, so I was like up already watching like Fuse like music videos and just coloring on my face. With my mismatched Converse and my like Fall Out Boy hoodie, and I used to like wrap bandanas around my legs. I was a cool kid.
I was giving emo. I was giving goth, but not face makeup. Goth. You have me beat there. My one claim to fame is that I still have the pair of Doc Martens that I wore in middle school.
Oh, love that. Yeah, I was full blown. Like, I wanted to be the star of Warped Tour when I was 14. I had a Snakes on a Plane backpack. I had like, just the full blown face paint. It was an interesting time. Anyways, all that's to say, color magic.
You could put a sigil in your face makeup.
Yeah, some might say I was wearing sigils all day long.
That's certainly one way to shield energetically.
Well, okay. My theory was I used to get made fun of a lot, but I like was always felt like I was in on the joke.
I wonder why.
But I was like in on the joke. I was like, oh, you're going to make fun of my face paint? I'm going to come to school with twice as much face paint tomorrow.
Yeah.
It was like I was playing a character. So it didn't hurt my feelings because I was like, yeah.
I know.
But everyone here is dressed like me. And look who has a top 10 podcast now.
Yeah.
Top 1% global podcast. The girl with the fucking face paint. Who's laughing now, John?
Yeah, John. I actually don't even want to say how much money I would give to see a photo of that.
Me too. I would too, honestly.
I was a weird kid in high school, but very much just like in the brooding, like kind of a dick way. I was like, no one understands me. It was more of like an inward. I had face paint on the inside.
Yeah. You had internal face paint.
Yeah. Not someone you wanted to be around from the ages of 15 to 17.
I get it. But all that's to say that my anecdote was to lead us to color magic.
It's a winding road sometimes, you just got to get in the passenger seat and hope we get there safely. Put on your seatbelt.
Color magic. You can dress yourself, if you want to protect your energy, wear some black or some red or, whatever color feels like protection for you. Maybe it's a bandana that you tie around your leg. Maybe it's your Converse shoes. Maybe it's your whatever the kids are wearing these days.
Whatever
Maybe it's
the
your
kids are wearing.
phone case.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if this was like a similar experience for you growing up, but I remember like being a kid and choosing my backpack for the year was like the pinnacle moment of back to school shopping.
Oh, you got a different backpack every year?
I was wearing through them things. Maybe not like when I was like a kid, like elementary school.
Sure. See, that wasn't a thing in Maine because we have LL Bean here. And LL Bean backpacks are very expensive, and you got your initials engraved or embroidered on them.
Okay, no.
So you had one backpack for life.
No. This was like the $10 backpack from Walmart. You know,
Oh, yeah,
that had like the Powerpuff Girls on it. Like it was like whatever was your hyperfixation of the year.
My Snakes on a Plane messenger bag that fit nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm talking about. And I think that choice can be like your kid's version of their own color magic. It's like not even, it's like character magic, right? Of like
character magic.
If your kid is really into the Powerpuff Girls, are the Powerpuff Girls still a thing? I don't know. Whatever. PPG. They're a thing now. But it's almost like the Powerpuff Girls are who keep them like safe and grounded. You know, like those characters that you really look up to or that your kid really looks up to. Almost like sending them with your kids as like guides for the year.
Aw, I love that.
Thanks.
That's cute.
If your kid's really into like Godzilla.
Yeah.
Nobody's fucking with your kid.
And this goes for like folders, pens, pencils, keychains.
All the things.
Lunchbox.
Love a lunchbox.
Love a lunchbox.
Love a fun lunchbox.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last thing on our list, I talked about this in our eclipse episode from a couple weeks ago. I took you guys through a like grounding and shielding technique that my mom taught me when I was younger. And this is the only piece of parenting advice that I will ever be equipped to give as someone who is not a parent, because I just know what a positive impact that had on me as a kid. Teach your kids that. Even just like play them that clip of me taking you through it and let them go through it and let them choose their element and let them learn how to ground and shield themselves.
Yeah.
And especially if you have kids who, you know, we've gotten quite a few messages from people who their kids are talking about their past lives or their kids are showing forms of intuition. This is something that I think is so helpful as kids are getting comfortable with their own psychic abilities. Because I think like kids have the opposite of what I see adults have, where like adults are like, oh, I really want to access this. I really want to access this. I really want to like, you know, I want to develop my clairs. I want to learn what abilities I have. I feel like kids, it's all just happening, right? Like they don't know how to turn it off almost.
Yeah. It can be overwhelming.
And so I think that's why a lot of adults feel like completely shut off from it is because when you get overwhelmed as a kid, you're like, oh, okay, like I need to put that in a box somewhere. Yeah. And then that box gets lost in the back of the closet and you can't find it again.
Yeah.
And I think teaching kids that young, learning how to shield and protect themselves from other people's energies will really help them as they develop their abilities throughout their lives.
Love that. So good.
And that's my soapbox. That's my parenting soapbox.
So good. Good segue into our section of parents. But also, as we're talking, I was like, I think this is also good for teachers. Like people who are connected to school, but not in the learning environment of school.
Big time.
Parents and teachers. First tip that we have is to do a morning ritual revamp. So you just got done with summer. You had a whole different routine, and we had the change of the season, which, as we know, is a really great time to reflect, reset your energy, all of that, as we talked about last week in the autumn equinox episode. So go back to our low effort morning rituals episode and see if anything calls to you. How can you start your day feeling present, connected, grounded, rather than flying out the door? And this doesn't have to be big. It can be something very simple. It can be, you know, something that takes 2 minutes. Really just let that time set the tone for your day.
Yeah, I think this is what I kind of miss about being in school is like these very clear and concrete times of renewal.
Yeah.
Where it's like a second New Year's where like, who am I going to be this year?
Yeah, totally.
And I think a morning ritual is a great way to like lay the foundation for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I might do this just for me. Do my own back to school.
Yeah. And even like a night ritual too. Like, who do I want to be in the morning? Because I know for me, I was, notoriously a kid who did not sleep well. And I also did go through a time of teaching in schools when I was a consent educator. And some mornings, because we had a big catchment area, I was driving 2-3 hours to be at school by the bell at 7:20. So I know what it's like to have very little sleep and very little time in the morning. So sometimes I would do my routine in the evening. And that was when I was a little witchy. So I can speak from experience.
Yeah. And if you're someone that doesn't feel like you have a ton of time in the morning, bringing that morning routine into like your commute, I think is really helpful. So for me, like playing music in the car on the way to the shop in the morning, it's like a 5-10 minute drive, but I get to really set the tone.
Yeah.
And it acts like a form of cleansing and as a form of like energizing, or if I like really, I am so of the mind that like sad music is just as like energizing and exciting as happy music. If I really need to like feel my feelings for 5 to 10 minutes, having like a little sad concerto in the car, it's like, okay, I've cleansed it, I've let it out, I'm wiping my hands of it, and now we're walking in,
I will tell you the one ritual that I had without fail when I was a consent educator, especially when I was in elementary schools, we would do puppet shows about personal body safety. And I would always have a second puppeteer with me who was quirky like me. Not quite as quirky as me, but up there because we worked with puppets for a living. And without fail, whenever we had a long drive, the last like 30 minutes, I would put on the song Not Too Young, Not Too Old by Aaron Carter featuring Nick Carter. And I would rap at the top of my lungs every line from that song. And it would wake us both the fuck up.
I'm sure.
It was one of those songs where it was like, don't even play a hate, try say a look 10. I'm going to tell you again. Like that's the vibe of it. And even to this day, like whenever I hear that song, I just like have the goofiest grin and it just is so energizing. So finding your Aaron Carter in your discography of music that can just like pump you up.
Yeah.
Okay, next idea we had is to do a tarot spread for the semester.
I love this because it really can be for anyone and it can be as intense or as easy as you want it to be. It's a very easy thing to like amplify or tone down. You could do a 1 card of the semester.
Yeah.
Or you could do, a 12, 15, 78 card spread.
Yeah.
Of what you need to look out for yourself, what you need to look out for your kids, what you need to look out for your classroom.
I will give more of an elaborate example that I'm thinking of. So I went through a very witchy, businessy type of class a couple years ago. And they had us, when we're developing like a product or developing a course or whatever, do a tarot spread for our client's journey. And so it was like pull 12 cards that represent like your client's journey from start until working with you until the end. And I think this could be a really fun thing to transpose into this, where it's like your journey as a student or your journey as a teacher or your child's journey as a student or whatever the case may be. It's like look at the spread as like pull, maybe it's 12 cards and just look at the themes of them. So we split them into like quarters. So it was like before school starts, at the start of the year, midway through the year, at the end of the year or whatever. You can look at it that way. And those 3 cards in each of those quarters can kind of give you some insight into what types of themes or lessons or journeys that you might be going on this semester.
Yeah, I love that. And then I think like something that you could do also if you want to make it more of like a continuous spread is like pulling a card of the week on like a Sunday night and keeping track of what you
doing
pull.
a little energy reading with your kiddo.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
That is so cute. And so pulling like a card of the week for you, for your kid or kids, for your partner if you want, and kind of like seeing where everyone's going to be at, and then keeping track throughout the semester or throughout the year of like what card you pulled, what came up for you through the week. And that's like a great way too to get your kids in like a journaling routine, or get your kids doing like an energetic check-in.
Yeah, because then at the dinner table every night you could be like, how does this theme show up for you? Or like, what was your magic moment of the day? Someone DM'd us saying that they do that with their kids every night, and I sobbed like a little baby.
It is so tender.
So tender. Your magic moment of the day. Please steal it. Please take it.
Please. We give it to you freely.
Tell us. Please.
It's just as long as you tell us about it.
Yeah, you have to tell us about it because that's so cute.
All right. Next on our list, we put together a crystal kit for grounding and protection. And I really went into it with like the mindset of like parents who are worried about their kids going back to school. So for that, for parents, we chose garnet, obsidian, and red jasper. Also, pro tip, there's this shape that has become very popular in garnets these days where somebody said to me the other day that it looks like a D20, which is exactly what it looks like. It looks like a really like complicated faceted dice. Make excellent fidgets.
Yeah. Isn't it a dodecahedron?
It's not perfect. Like it's just kind of like a bunch of different faces. So kind of, but not really.
If we look at like the sacred geometry of that shape, it's a very protective shape energetically. So very protective. And I put together a little crystal kit for teachers, especially my burnt out teacher friends. This is what I literally carried with me. This was me. I want you to picture me, consent educator Molly, highly burnt out, working in the trauma field for too long, finding Krista Mitchell's book that I've talked about over and over and over again, scrolling through and being like, what's the best thing for burnout? And then committing this to memory. All right. I don't know if this is exactly what she recommended, but the inspiration came from her. Okay. Jet, which is like the crystal equivalent of the phrase, I'm rubber, you're glue. Your energy bounces off me, sticks to you. Rose quartz, which is great for compassion fatigue, staying compassionate to the little twerps that are throwing spitballs at you. And selenite, especially for at the end of your day, clearing your energy with selenite.
Yeah. And I feel like if you have a classroom, loading that bitch up with selenite, like in the doorways, wherever kids come in from recess, wherever kids come in from lunch. I don't know if those doors are different in your school or if it's just one door, which is what would make more sense.
Honestly, I would put a caveat on this because too much selenite could heighten the kids too much energetically. So I would pair, if you have selenite in your classroom, pair it with a black tourmaline because that's going to help them stay grounded. So if you have selenite over your doors and you notice your kids are really hyper, maybe put a black tourmaline next to it and see if that brings it down. Also, like clearing your classroom energetically can be really powerful. I have a teacher friend who I go in and clear her classroom with Reiki. I think it's one of the most powerful ways to do it because obviously you can't use like smoke usually. But you could use, selenite, walk around with your selenite stick, walk around with your black tourmaline, clear the energy of the room like you're sort of waving it through. You could also open a window and do some sound cleansing. You could put plants in all four corners. There's lots of ways to do it, but keeping your classroom's energy clear, especially if you have like a twerpy group of kids, like the little assholes, and they all sit in the same area, clear that energy right there. Clear that cluster and notice if their behavior changes.
Yeah, and if you've done that grounding and shielding exercise, practice pushing it out to encapsulate your entire room.
Yeah. I love that.
And then last on our list for parents is to build your coven.
Yeah.
Yeah, find some other witchy parent friends, whether that's like at your school where your kids go or if it's online.
Mm-hmm.
Having a group of people who understand your experience is a magic in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And having people to lean on for support and also to like keep you accountable in the things that you want to do, like in the routines that you want to have, the rituals that you want to do. If you're doing that year-long spread of like a card a week, sharing that card with your friends.
Cute. Yeah. I know when I was growing up, my mom had a friend that every time I got dropped off on the bus, her friend's kid also got dropped off and they would go for a walk together.
That's really cute. I love that.
Yeah. I was like, I wish I had a friend like that nearby.
Yeah. I feel my friends who are parents have expressed to me this like difficulty that they find in meeting other people who are like them, who are also parents, especially like who have kids of similar ages, you know, like just your pool narrows. And so I know that is maybe like a difficult task, but I will say a lot of people who listen to this podcast are parents. We get so many messages of people listening to the podcast with their kids and sharing things that they've learned with their kids. So maybe let's put together like a find your parent bestie on a post on our page where you guys can meet in the comments.
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Okay, great.
Go to our Instagram. You might see it.
You might see it. Okay, college. I feel like I have to put a disclaimer here because everyone told me college was going to be the best time of my life. I was going to meet my forever friends. College was the worst time of my life.
Yeah.
So if you are someone who's going back to college and you are dreading it, know that you're not alone. College wrecked me in so many ways, and it made me in so many ways. Like I look back now and I'm like, oh, the person I am now is because of the damage I acquired in my bachelor's.
Yeah. I also have like a disclaimer because I feel very similarly. College was very difficult for me as well. I did like I have complicated feelings about it because I did meet a group of people that I would take a bullet for. And that's about all I got out of it.
Yeah.
It was like a very difficult time for me mentally. And so I have like a blanket statement. If you are someone who is having a hard time, whether it's in middle school, in high school, in college, and you constantly hear people telling you these are the best years of your life, just wait till you get to the real world. And are shitting on the real world so much, and you're maybe like in college 2 years from this quote unquote real world. First of all, you already live in the real world. Just college is a part of your real world right now. Just know if you're feeling that sense of anxiety of, oh my God, the real world is worse than this and I'm having a really hard time. The real world is great.
Real world's great. My 30s have been the best.
You get to build your real world. And the people who are saying to you that college are the best years of your life and the real world fucking blows and you're going to be miserable, that is a projection of their misery.
Mm-hmm.
And is not a promise of yours.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox. Okay. Love you. Mean it.
Okay. First thing, we wanted to talk about ways to cleanse your dorm room without smoke.
Ooh.
Someone asked us this. I can't remember when or where or how. So if it was you listening, you're welcome.
Mm-hmm. So obviously we talked about selenite.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites is Florida water. I'll just dip my little finger in some and trace the outline of like doorways and walls or draw a little sigil on the walls. You can also use moon water. What I've also done in the past as well is I will take a little spray bottle, put a little bit of Florida water because it does have alcohol in it. You will need something alcohol based for this just so it doesn't get moldy. But yeah, sorry, learned that the hard way. You don't want to know. But a little bit of Florida water, fill it the rest of the way with moon water. Mm-hmm. Put any crystals that you want that can be in water. Give it a gook first. And then sometimes I'll do like some herbs if I know I'm going to use it quickly, like maybe like some rosemary or like essential oils and things. And I basically make my own little home spray.
Cute.
And I'll use that to cleanse.
I love that. I was going to say, if you have a fan in your dorm room, like an oscillating fan, you could spray that into the back of the fan while it's on and it will mist through your whole space. I love to do that in my house.
Now that's a tip.
Yeah. So those are good. If you are sensitive to smells, just a little moon water. Just water you stick out under the moon. Super simple.
Put your little fingers in it. Just flick your fingers all over the place.
Flick your fingers. Yeah, flick your fingers. Yeah, if you have a diffuser. I don't know. Do they let people have diffusers in
I don't know.
dorms? I feel like they might.
I feel like even if they don't, that's like an easy thing. Like people know if you've got a fucking candle in there, but a diffuser is an easy thing to unplug and stick under the bed.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Which I've always been a person that's like, oh, it's bullshit that they don't let you have candles in your dorm room. I fully almost set my house on fire last night. Like we just set the fire alarm off for the very first time with a candle. And I was like, oh, okay. Maybe I get it. I was like, maybe I need to get one of those warmers that heats the candle up from the bottom. Are you allowed to have those?
I don't think so, because you can't have hot plates.
Oh, that makes sense. It is
some they don't let you have coffee pots unless they're Keurigs.
Really?
They're hot plates. Yeah, I think it depends on the dorm. But
I guess that makes sense.
I feel like a diffuser is pretty. Or if you can't have a diffuser, make a reed diffuser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great idea. I was just about to say that's a good one.
Yeah,
I watched us both think of that at the same time.
Okay, and then protecting your energy if you have a shared dorm. This could be as simple or as elaborate as you want, right? You could put a black tourmaline underneath your bed or underneath each piece of furniture that is quote unquote yours, right? Versus like your roommates. You could draw sigils on those pieces.
I love that.
You could do that shielding practice that we talked about for like the classroom. Shield your dorm or your space or your items.
Yeah. And I think that regular cleansing is also an easy way to do that as well. Like to regularly get rid of others' energy off of your stuff. This is also different, like depending on the relationship that you have with your roommate as well. Like,
yeah,
I feel like you know your own intensity level needed for your shielding and your cleansing. Like if you need a line of black tourmaline through the middle of the room versus if you need just like one piece in the corner.
Yeah. I was gonna say I had some roommates that woof.
Yeah,
it was not a time.
We needed black tourmaline logs.
Yeah,
build a wall with them.
Yeah.
All right. This is something that I thought of as we were doing this, and I think I kind of did it without realizing that's what I was doing when I was in school. But using like your class choosing process as an intuition exercise. Where like, you know how sometimes the same professor will teach the same class like 4 hours in a row? You know, there's like an 8 to 8:50, a 9 to 9:50, a 10 to 10:50, whatever.
Yeah.
When you're choosing your classes, and I know that this can be kind of chaotic, at least I remember when I was in school, it was like a mad dash to choose your classes.
Like Eras Tour.
So, yeah, truly. So this is also a really good exercise in like letting an intuition test be truly trusting your gut.
Yeah.
Look at those 4 class options. Trust your gut. Make a game time decision. Say, oh, this is the one. I feel good about this one. And choosing that class. Same with like electives, right? If you like have 4 different classes that could fulfill the same requirement, if you don't have a preference, let intuition be the deciding factor.
Yep. What was your favorite class you took in college?
You know, the truth about me is that I don't remember much before the age of like 23.
Same.
So I remember my least favorite class. It was called Issues in Publishing, and the man who taught it was really mean. Oh. It was the class that I was most excited to take, which is why I remember it being my least favorite so much. I was so excited. It was like the last class that I needed for my English degree, and I wanted to work in publishing. And so I was like, I'm very excited. Issues in publishing. Let's talk about them. It was not. It was a man who only taught master's level classes. This was the one undergrad class that he had to take, and he was making it everybody's problem. And we had to read like 10 books through the semester, and he made us bring a copy of every single one to every single class. And he would say in the beginning of class, it was bonkers. I didn't know how much energy I still had towards this man. But I don't remember his name. But he would read through the list of books, and we would have to raise them up. And I didn't bring them as a form of protest.
Should have just brought a Kindle.
I know. I should have. But I remember being like, well, I'm going to fail this class because this man is so awful. Wow. Someone else went to the dean about him because he just randomly in the middle. Sorry, this is such a segue, or a sidebar. But in the middle of this kid's presentation one time, he accused him of plagiarizing, like using another class's work. Like he was like, you did this project for another class. This is not for my class. And the kid was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I made this for your class. And he was like, no, you didn't. I just know looking at it that you didn't. And so we went to the dean about him. So everybody passed.
Wow.
At least I think. Also a girl that I knew. Oh my God, this is unlocking a lot of memories. This was the most chaotic. I did not use my intuition here. It was the most chaotic class I've ever taken. During our midterm, this girl that I knew well and thought we were friendly. I mean, we were friendly, but after this, I didn't like her. She stood up in the middle of our midterm and pointed at this girl and said that she was cheating. And she was sitting right in front of me, and I don't think she was. She was like, it really sucks that I worked really hard to study for this test, and you just like have the answers out on your phone. It was crazy. It was crazy. Now that girl makes flower arrangement videos on TikTok.
Wow. My least favorite class was information technology, which I don't actually know what it was about, but I'm pretty sure it was about modern day technology.
That sounds like that's what it would be about.
If you want to know the lecturing style of my 80-year-old professor, he would bring out a VHS player and play us a VHS about modern day technology. It was like the internet, this brand new thing. I was like, oh, cool. I'm not going to learn anything in this class.
Did Bill Nye exist? Did you watch Bill Nye?
In middle
when you were in school? Okay.
Yeah. Not in college.
A professor at the college I went to is married to him. Or wait, maybe not a professor. It was someone that, I don't remember. My ex-boyfriend knew the person. And so it was either the professor or someone in the class's mom.
Okay. That's a big...
But the professor really made it seem more tied to the episode. So I'm going to say it was the professor just because that feels closer to the truth. I don't really remember and I can't ask.
Sure. Pee Wee Herman went to my college for a semester.
Wow.
That was our claim to fame.
My favorite author went to mine.
Wow. My favorite author went to mine. Molly Donlin.
Whatever. I can't with you.
Okay, intuition test for choosing classes. Check.
Don't take issues in publishing at Florida State University.
Yeah. Anyways,
that's your intuition test.
I was going to say my favorite class was we had to take like a first semester class. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it was like here's how to research kind of class.
Yeah.
But they were all themed different. Mine was Star Trek themed. So we just watched Star Trek every Wednesday night for like 2 hours. It was great.
Incredible.
My thesis or like my final paper was about how Captain Janeway was a feminist icon.
So good.
So good.
All right. So if you didn't use your intuition for your classes and you need some magic
yep, good
to
segue.
Go with you to those
good
classes,
segue.
Thank you. We have some alternatives to candle magic since you can't have an open flame.
Yes. Spell jars
And crystal grids.
Yeah.
I think spell jars are a little bit easier if you are maybe like in a dorm and not super comfortable with being like, here's all my witchy stuff in a shared space, you know?
Yeah.
Spell jars are easy to like make and keep compact.
Yep.
And put in your backpack or under your bed or, you know, take with you to class or whatever it is. Crystal grids, if you ended up in a dorm with a witchy roommate, just know that you won.
So jealous.
You won the year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you didn't, you could, like, you know, waiting until you have a private space to do your crystal grids, or just saying, fuck it, I don't care if you see.
Who cares?
My witchy stuff, you know.
You know what I was thinking is, why do crystal grids have to be in the physical realm? You could make a digital crystal grid, like go on Canva and build a phone background that's a crystal grid and then slap it on your phone background.
Now that is thinking.
Right? Slap it on your desktop.
You could do that with anything. Do that with sigils.
Yeah. If you don't have the ingredients to make a spell jar, build a digital spell jar on like Canva And then
this is how the world is. We're leaving the physical realm and we're going entirely to the internet. And I love it.
I was just thinking of like spell jars. Like I didn't have a lot of ingredients in my dorm room. Like I would not have cinnamon. I don't even know if I would have salt, to be honest with you. But I did have the internet and a printer or access to one.
True.
So you can print like almost like make a collage of all the things you'd put in your spell jar and then decoupage your textbook or your notebook or your folders or whatever. Like make a cool background for your phone if you don't want to print it and carry that spell around like a little digital spell.
Love
that.
Digital spells.
Ugh.
We're bringing spells into the modern age.
Wait, I'm obsessed with this. I want to start doing this. It's like vision boarding 2.0.
I love to make a little vision board collage, so I'm on board with this. You know, like, because then it doesn't even have to be a jar. Like, it's literally an aesthetic photo of a sprig of rosemary.
Yeah.
That's like not even a spell jar. Like, what we need to come up with a name for that.
It's a visual
We need to
spell.
trademark it.
Visual spell.
A visual spell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A spell board.
A spell board. Yeah. It works just as well. You are the magic, baby. Don't forget.
You are the magic, baby.
And if you want to carry some crystals for your college experience, we chose some crystals for confidence because we both felt like that was what we needed. Citrine and carnelian are great. I'm going to throw tiger's eye in there too because it's really good for decision making, and that is something I needed help with in college. I did not make some good decisions. So tiger's
Relatable.
eye.
And I'm going to throw in some flower agate for some compassion.
Oh, I like that. Nice.
Because you know what? Your brain isn't fully formed.
And growth. Flower agate's great for growth.
So you know what? Yeah. Make some poor choices. Love yourself through it.
Yeah. And just know that the poor choices you make in college, they're not going to make or break you. All right. 11 years later, I'm still existing, and I was a shithead in college. Yeah. Anyone listening who knew me in college, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I was a bad person. I was a horrible person. I was so burnt out. I was exhausted. Didn't know how to cope with it. But here we are now. We've learned. We've lived. We've loved. We've laughed.
So true. And on that note, I'm going to go make a visual spell. I'm going to go make a spell board.
Yeah. Sames.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison. If you want to learn more about us, you can find all our links in the show notes.
We'd love to know what you think of today's episode, so drop us a review or give us a shout out on social media. And don't forget to let us know your magical moment of the week. Okay, love you. Bye.